Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ian Miller. We're still celebrating our 35th anniversary of Batman. Yep, the fun continues, especially with our guest today. Um, 35 years, it's absolutely crazy. We actually hit the anniversary was actually this past Sunday, so naturally, I'm pretty sure you all watched the movie. I hope you watched my interview with band producer Michael Usland afterwards, because we had him in the previous episode. And that guy has a lot of stories. Very fun guy. I'm looking forward to having him back at some point soon. But speaking of anniversaries for a second, today is actually the third anniversary of the very first episode that I ever did on Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. So, I guess, happy anniversary to us. Anyway, on with the guest. This man has actually worn the cape and cowl. He's a professional dancer, and he is Michael Keaton's movement double. And he's here to talk to us about his experiences on working on the movie. So please give a warm welcome for the one, the only, Carl Newman.
Hello, Ian,
Hello,
and
Carl.
hello everyone out there as well, and happy anniversary to you.
Thank you.
Great achievement there.
Thank you. It's absolutely crazy after 3 years.
Where does the time go? I'm talking about time. 35 years we're talking about now. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. But let's get to that for now. How did you hear about this, and how did you get involved in this?
Well, I was, doing my usual, going to lots of auditions and castings. As a dancer, you can have more than one agent, which is really good. So you can sort of get called for various things. And just one day, I got that phone call that told me about this new Batman movie
Hmm.
and that it was going to be made at Pinewood Studios, which I knew so well because of all the history there, the Bond movies, Star Wars. I'd actually filmed there, would you believe, a couple of times previously.
Wow.
So I love that setup. I mean, I was familiar with a lot of the film studios, but this phone call entailed and said, look, get over to Pinewood, meet the first assistant director. They'll talk about this new movie that they're making with Batman and Michael Keaton, etc. So I pulled along there and was so excited and had a really good chat. I mean, Derek is a lovely guy. I mean, sadly he's no longer with us, but such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And came away, the usual thing. You don't try not to think about these things too much. You let them do what they need to do, and then you carry on doing the rest of the things that you need to do, whether you take class or whether you go to another audition. And then there was another phone call some weeks, month or so later, where then I got the even better phone call to go and try on the suit and the cowl. So that was just mind blowing.
Oh man. Um, I have to ask. When you tried the costume on for the first time, obviously it's a surreal moment here, but you were obviously taking notes on the restrictions of the suit, right? Because the cowl is jointed to the shoulders, and you can't really turn your head. So obviously, this your training comes into play when you tried it on for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kind of a guy without being sort of clever or whatever else. As a dancer, I mean, we're so used to putting on a multitude, a variety of costumes. I mean, I've been in incredibly fitted sort of period costume where I've been asked to do some kind of period dancing, whether it's from sort of Victorian or even earlier or um, ballroom such as quick step, waltzing, foxtrot, those kind of things. So you're used to various costumes and them being fitted. But to be honest, I didn't feel too conscious. I mean, I loved the whole thing about Batman anyway through comics, and I know Adam West's costume was totally different to this, but this was just for me, wow, putting on this incredibly stylized suit that had been sculpted, with the likes of Vin Burnham and Bob Ringwood.
Yeah.
Such a lovely team that I met there in the wardrobe costume department. They were so easy and accommodating, when we gelled straight away. I think what I loved was the fact that it fitted really well. And another thing I endorse about wearing this kind of costume is it helps if you've got a good build and you know how to hold yourself, because you can make that costume look very sloppy, and you can look very stilted. But I was a fitness fanatic as well. I mean, I'd done lots of athletics and weight training, weightlifting, all the whole range. And I think what I loved was the fact it fitted so well, and the cowl really, fitted my sort of jawline well, and I felt very comfortable, and I felt very much the part. I think the likes of Laurence Olivier, the great Laurence Olivier, they always acted from the costume in many ways. That costume really transports you.
Yeah.
And I think the feedback that I was getting from costume was that, wow, your chin, it's really strong. It's fitting well, because I mean, we know, whilst they were sort of saying, they didn't want the sort of the Van Damme or the Stallone, you still want the right facial shape and things for the cowl and stuff. But no, I didn't really feel, oh wow, this is going to hold me back. I just felt even more empowered, if you like, to do even more and show what I could do. And that came to the fore when I got onto the back lot and saw Tim, that I just was throwing myself around, not letting it hold me back.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Especially, when you put it on for the first time, you're like, okay, I know how to make this work.
Yeah. I think that's it. I really, I'm acting as well. I mean, I trained at my theatre school. We had very good acting coaches as well there that had done a lot of television and theatre, and so they were immersed in the realm of acting. I'd studied with a private coach as well. So, and I think dancers make brilliant actors as well. You've only got to look at the likes of, like the Audrey Hepburns and these people that can transition very well because they know about counting and directing. They generally know how to do lots, really. Yes, it's the voice, we know, it's all of that as well. But I used to love watching the best actors on television as well. The English American, you learn a lot from them and listening to them. But I did used to do that with the suit as well. I just really believed everything that I was doing, the conviction, so that it wasn't just a case of skipping round in that suit. That I literally felt every pore of my body was Batman, and that when I was in the bell tower or wherever I would be, that I was totally into that character, and that I gave total conviction to everything that I did, and you will go through that pain barrier. Dancer will do it time and time again without complaining. I mean, there may be some, but I'm of the school that I've always trained incredibly hard and committed myself to things. And so that if Tim had said to me, look, Carl, we've not quite got that landing shot, can you do it another 40 times? I would have done, what I mean? I would have done that, because I'm a perfectionist myself, and I just want it to be so right. And it needs to translate to the audience that it's perfect.
Yeah, that's true. And You did with such flourish, my friend. You did with such flourish.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just was so humbled and honored to be given such a lot to do. But of course, you want more and more. You just, once you've done one particular sequence,
Mm.
it's like, oh, let me have the next one. And it's, no, we better get Michael to do this. So take your time. So yeah, you have to. I mean, sometimes I was in tandem with Michael so much, like the Batwing crash, and it would be me, him, me, that kind of thing, and then through the cathedral,
Yeah.
etc. So and then with the other guys as well, in that bell tower there was four of us all working different scenes, so it's quite incredible.
Yeah. I said this before the show started to you, but yeah, you, Michael, and the other stuntman all became Batman. You all contributed to being Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a staggering story, isn't it? That initially when Michael was cast, and then they had Sean, the first stunt guy. I
Hmm.
suppose they felt that ordinarily, if you look at other Superman films, you normally have perhaps one stunt guy. I don't know, Ben Affleck, etc. But I think they just felt with this particular character, with it being the film that it was, that it was just missing that fluidity, because you can have a great stunt guy
Hmm.
and it's not all about brawn and smashing through things. It's about having fluidity and elegance as well, because that was the thing I think I was very much called upon, was to give it this aesthetic, this elegance, this gracefulness, and athleticism. But they felt that by getting a trained dancer in, that would sort of encapsulate those missing parts of the character. So I came in, and yeah, that was me all over, because I used to sprint, I used to jump with athletics teams, and also with my dance training. They were things that I could really draw upon
Hmm.
with the character. But then I think when Michael was shooting some of the fighting sequences, which he did a great job with, I have to say, but I think when John Peters got involved, he wanted it to be pepped up a lot more. And that's where this Dave Lee guy came in as well. And he was a martial arts expert, so he could bring that to the table. But even he couldn't move the way I could. And it just shows you how, you know, people might think they can do everything, as a martial arts or whatever. But, I think dancers have that incredible flair and skill, and we can all just kind of mesh together. And so that's what we did. We just
Hmm.
gave him such an all round um, power and skill set that it was just off the page, really.
Yeah. 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 You're absolutely right. Yeah, you just answered my next question, so I had to move on to another one.
I'm sorry if I
Oh,
jumped
it's all
there.
right. No, 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 no. You understand. I love it when guests, just answer the questions for me without me
Thankfully,
asking it. So,
sleepless.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's just I've always been someone that's been very very observant, throughout my time, and still am. I mean, I've got a zest for life like you can't believe. I mean, I've always gone around the world and wherever I've been, and I notice things. I'm looking at architecture, I'm looking at wildlife, I look at people. I just admire so many things that the world, the riches that are out there, and don't miss out on those things. And it's the same with who I grew up with. I grew up with my heroes in sort of bodybuilding,
mhm,
and Bruce Lee was one of my favorites. I used to love the Incredible Hulk growing up, with Lou Ferrigno, and of course I love
yeah,
Arnie and Frank Zane, and I was into so much of those great things Mission Impossible, the great science fiction things that were on Logan's Run, Space 1999, etc., etc. But these are things that you just love to watch, and you really absorb it. You're very passionate about those things, and I think for me, this movie, if you like, I just felt destined for this movie. Really, that I'd been up and I was so close to many incredible things. I did some great things throughout my career, but this was a movie I think that had my sort of credentials written all over it. It was perfect for me to be able to say, well, look, I know how to hold myself in that suit. It's not being stiff or stilted, but I know how to hold myself. I know how to hold myself in photographs because, again, that's a skill in itself. You can just stand there, but you won't get that same thing if it's not in the eyes and how you're feeling and how you can work with the camera.
Yeah.
So I'd had a lot of photographic experience as well, and so when they asked me to do a lot of publicity, I was like, yes, please, bring it on.
Yeah. So kind of like with this, I'm going to show them your website. The link is below, guys, if you want to check it out for yourselves. But yeah, so with stuff like this,
Yeah, I mean that you know people have said to me, Carl, that is perfection, and I'm very grateful for that comment. But you see, that is, as we know, is a very cumbersome, hailed to be very cumbersome and restrictive. But I know how to stand, and I'm not tense. I'm not tense in that photograph. There's no tension in my face or anything. But that's just knowing how to stand, how to hold myself, and when you've got someone like Herb Ritz on the end of the camera as well, he's going to bring out the best in you. And he was I just wish I could have worked with Herb more, because I think there was so much more that we could have done together, because we got on so incredibly well. He was very complimentary.
mm,
He likened me to Mandy Patinkin, the great actor and a musical theatre star in the Prince, like a young Mandy Patinkin in Princess Bride. But
yeah,
lovely, lovely guy to work with. And there's Todd with me, a movement consultant, Batsuit Wrangler. Again, we're great friends. I saw him not so long ago after 35 years, would you believe?
wow,
Yeah, I saw him at the Never Ending Fantasy Con in London, and we just were so thrilled to see one another after such a long time. So I've stayed in contact and friends with most of the people that are here.
mm, wow, that's great. Yeah, because I would have always thought, it's tough to stay close to some of the people you worked with over the years, but it's always great when you manage to have that few.
Yes. Well, I liken this to a real family. I mean, I've been in touch with Vin quite a bit. Peter McDonald, I've had chats with him and his wife. The other Batsuit Wrangler, Day Murch,
Hmm.
and there's those. It just shows you the sort of convivial, the friendship that we've had, and that it was a beautiful family on this movie. That is quite rare, I think, really, because you do tend to, when things wrap, you do tend to go off, and then that's it, unless you brought together on another movie. But the fact that we're still all friends shows you what we created, what was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's with the lovely Anton, who we know, like Tim, such a genius, such a humble man, tragically, gone too soon.
Yeah,
So incredibly sad. Again, he'd got so much more to give, and what he'd done previously as well, like Full Metal Jacket. I mean, they're just standout movies, aren't they? His skill is beyond compare.
yeah. What was it like to, just stand on the set, just seeing these magnificent
Oh,
designs?
oh, I mean, it's another world, when you see the aerial shots that I know Michael has been posting a lot of these great shots, hasn't he? With the run up to the celebrations of the 35th anniversary, and you see these aerial shots, and you see how massive that whole acreage was of the set.
Yeah,
But for me, just looking again, and it just transports me right back to that museum and how colossal and how real everything was. It was just breathtaking, the whole thing. And that was quite a feat holding that flag, because as you can see with the way the flag is blowing there, it's very, very windy, and the pole weighed quite a lot actually, but nothing for Batman, of course.
oh no,
But but Anton, yeah, and I mean, I would talk to Anton, and such a down to earth, lovely guy. No ego, no sort of spiky personality. Just welcomed you. We got on great, as I did with everybody.
yeah, like you said, going much too soon.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you just don't know what goes on, do you? I know probably a few things there, but you just never think these things will happen. But I was just absolutely floored when I was told.
Yeah,
It just sort of breaks your heart, really, when anyone is lost, but especially when someone is so gifted like Anton was.
yeah, but his work is definitely going to be living on for obviously many years to come.
I believe this film will be immortalized for so many decades, maybe another century and beyond. It seems to have that wonderful legacy, and all the right ingredients, doesn't it, Ian?
It
When we
is.
think about it.
Yeah, because it came out at the right time. The casting, was spectacular. Yes, one of them was controversial at the time. We can set the test of that, but they proved that wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Michael's proved, hasn't he, how incredible he is. I mean, all the films he's done, just recently as well. It's great that he's made a return in Beetlejuice, but he's so incredible. I mean, I've always loved his work, Pacific Heights and all these other films that he did, where he's played the really sort of nasty guy, but he can flip it, he's got the comedic skill, the serious, he's got it all. And he certainly did an unbelievable job with Batman that I don't think anyone else has been able to match, because he's got the Bruce Wayne as well, hasn't he? He's got that cerebral performance, which is so important, that there's the belief there behind the eyes. He has all those emotions going on, and facial, gestures and movements that are so key to something like this. That's what makes him such a brilliant actor.
Yeah. When I watch him perform, whether it was in Batman or other works, I was like, I always have to watch those eyes because those eyes
Yes,
are very, very expressive, and that was why he
yes,
got the role in the first place.
yes, absolutely. And as we know, whenever you're watching any of the great actors, that that is the key, isn't it? If you know what's going on, if you know that the brain is really, working, which then is magnifying through the eyes, that actor is so involved. There's nothing surface, is there? That's the thing. That's the depths of these great actors. That it's through the eyes that they're able to make these incredible connections and gestures, if you like, as well. So that's why it's so brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my other question for you is before we go on here is what was your first shot in the bat suit? Oh, I think his screen is froze, folks. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I think I've lost the connection. I I think he's lost the connection with me. I have no idea what happened. Yeah. So, oh, there you were. I know what happened. We lost the connection for a second.
I just lost you for a moment. Yeah, I just lost connection.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, but you can see me now, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think my question was, what was your first shot in the movie? Oh, oh. Yeah, yeah. The screen's froze. I don't know what happened. Carl, can you hear me? Well, folks, this is the first time I've had technical difficulties. Hopefully, yeah, he'll be back soon. I don't know what happened, but yeah, so far it's quite the stories. So when he gets back, I hope we could talk about his first shot, and also if he got to sit in the Batmobile or not. Yeah. So I'm really sorry about this, folks. But yeah, in the meantime, why don't we just plug in for a bit? Of course, you can check out ballybed1989.com. You can see the rest of these wonderful photographs, which I will show in a bit. Yeah. And of course, the homepage, where he will talk about, his the convention appearances when he gets back. So, yeah, there's that. But also, while I have you here, as always, you can check out T Public. Wait, go on. He's back.
Hello, we're back.
Thank you, thank God. It's all right. I was keeping them, entertained while you were away. Don't
Oh,
worry about
well done. Well
it.
done.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's try this again. My question was, what was your first shot in the movie in the suit?
First shot in the movie in the suit. I would have said, I mean, normally, as you know, that it's not shot sequentially, is it?
Yeah.
When they make movies, that they're very much out. But I think, to be honest, the first one was probably the gliding shot where I glide on the rooftop. You
Hmm.
know, where I literally come in with that lovely silhouette where I land, and then the cape gets lowered very slowly when the muggers are on the rooftop.
Yeah.
They're just chatting away. So I would have said that was very much one of the first ones, and probably the bat signal one was one of the very first as well, believe it or not.
Really?
And that was probably about the, yeah, I seem to remember probably third or fourth in, something like that. But yeah, I think we did then the one where I open the cape when the muggers hear that sort of crunching sound and look up, and then open the cape and then jump down at them. So yeah, they would have been the first few, but they were great fun to do.
Yeah. The shot.
There it is. Yeah, that's the second shot, and that was from quite a height that I jumped down from, and it's retaining that shape as well as you're jumping down, so that you don't lose in the camera.
Yeah,
There's nothing worse than getting all bundled up and crushed. But yeah, that was lovely because there's a tops card actually where it says directing Michael Keaton, but in actual fact it's me. But it's where I'm going through movements with Tim
hmm
of how to bring out the cape, the wings, and get that lovely shape. So that was lovely to do that one.
yeah. It's such an impressive looking shot, and yeah, you're right. It would be very hard to really, hold the cape like that, especially as you're jumping down.
Yeah,
But
but I persisted to do that because, again, me being the professional, I didn't want to, I wasn't bothered about me at the end. I mean, I knew I was going on to crash mats, but, you know, at the end, I thought, well, I can get out of it when I've hit the bottom somehow. But the most important thing is holding that shape, that lovely frame for quite some time so that the camera's got it through
yeah,
the filming. And yeah, I mean, I think people love that. I mean, they feel there's never been an entrance like that for a Batman in any subsequent movies. I think even in Returns, you don't get the same kind of entrance like that. I suppose they couldn't replicate it, but
yeah,
it makes me very proud that was a unique way of entering for Batman and then
yeah,
taking off as well.
yeah. It's very much Batman entrance because that's how you expect him to come down. So yeah,
Yes, yes,
he's
yeah,
dark and mysterious, and yeah, you totally buy it.
yeah. It just brings a whole different feel, doesn't it? And it's sort of very quiet the way it was done. It had that menace, didn't it?
It did.
You know, which was really fantastic. And all that dark Gotham creation was just magnificent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
And
was.
then with the music as well. I mean, everything was there,
Uh,
wasn't it?
all the elements were there. Just the look of it, the casting, the obviously the score, and
Yes,
yeah, it was there. It was all
it
there.
was there. It was really there, and you had the best team. I mean, Tim, such a lovely guy as well. I know he was incredibly young, wasn't he, when he did that one? But he was so welcoming and supportive and encouraging. I just you feel wow. When you're working with people like that make your job so much easier and bring out the best in you and take you to an even higher level. I think really because you want to work even harder for those kind of people, because they are with you.
Yeah,
And that's how I felt with him. That he was just the loveliest person to work with.
yeah. That's what I've been hearing. Especially, he's very much open to suggestions to
Yes,
make it better.
yes, 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 he is. And it was always a joy to see him for me,
Mhm.
and be there. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Now, my next question is, who came up with the bat turn?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, there's been conjecture over this, and I was reliving this, during some interaction with various members, and radio stations and so forth. But really, what had happened was I'd gone away to this location for this Axis Chemicals, and I do remember being suited up and doing what was asked in this particular scene. But because things are edited the way they are,
Hmm
and and as we know through that that Batwing crash and all various things, but I do feel I was the one that invented that really. I mean, there was certainly the bat turn in the bell tower as well, and you could say a little bit in other scenes as well. So I'd like to feel that I was responsible.
Yeah, yeah. I think you were definitely, and Michael definitely adopted it for his next two performances. If you think about it, because he was able to move his whole body like you
Yes,
did here. So yeah, I think he adopted it
yeah,
because he was like,
yeah.
"That's it. That's the character."
Yes, yeah. I think that was it, and I mean, I was even more flexible then, but I think there is a realization when you've got a cowl that's literally, when I say bolted, I don't mean literally, but because it's glued on to the cape,
Hmm.
it's going to make that very secure. But you're going to work with or make the costume work with you. But yeah, there is going to be an element of that anyway, isn't there? Because it is what it is, and you can't make it any looser in its construction. But I think the thing was, I didn't have any fear or any sort of restriction in at least doing it. So I would just go through those actions anyway. Excuse me. And so I think that's what was adopted, certainly.
Okay. Now, did you get to sit in the Batmobile?
I did. I mean, I people wonder how how I got in the Batmobile for one thing, because it is a very small cockpit, isn't it? And
Yeah,
when you've got the full regalia on, and people have said about the cape lengths and things, and it's always different when you're observing in the future, but when you're there and then in that present moment. So I wouldn't necessarily be there thinking, oh, this is a three-quarter length or whatever. I was so hyped and in the moment of getting ready to do that shot. So what was more important for me was to make that work incredibly well. So getting in to the Batmobile, even normally, is quite difficult. But when you've got the full costume on, but I would practice it and I would make it so that I could get the cape out of the way when I would be sort of entering. I do it very quick so that with that sort of fluid movement and getting the legs in, pushing the cape back, and then I would slide in. So yeah, it's observing things from the past and knowing that if I glued my legs together as Bruce Lee used to do when he would be on ropes and things,
yeah,
that sort of core strength and just using these things to enable you to make that entrance into the Batmobile so smooth. So yeah, I mean, I look back now and I think, wow, it's so quick, But that's what you live for. You do these things to make it seamless like that, so that it's like, wow, that's one hell of a quick getaway, and that's what we love to see. And you know, the people that notice things, I'm so thrilled that they do that, because the idea is, as we know, we make these things look effortless, but they're not. But we make it look so smooth for the audience, so that it's a great movie.
yeah. Okay. We have the shot of you in the cathedral doing this. What was it like being on that set?
Oh wow! I mean, people have said to me, what is your favorite sequence or whatever, and it's always very very difficult. But I think for me, this was the busiest scene for me, sequence, because I've done the Batwing crash and then getting out and then going through the cathedral doors, etc. But then coming through that trapdoor, where again it sort of splits between me and Michael. But once I was in there, that was where I could then really work the cape and get those movements going. And I really believed in the character again. the henchmen, the goons were around. I had to be very keyed and alert to what was going on to ultimately rescue Vicky. But yeah, just to be in that set and the way it was lit, just the feel of it. And again, I'm chomping at the bit to be given things to do. So when I did that and I was walking a lot, moving a lot throughout the bell tower, and then when they sort of Lawrence comes crashing to try and capture me, etc. I mean, these are all wonderful memories for me to work with it, and I just see this image in so much publicity, and yeah, I mean, to me, that is the ultimate comic book image. I mean, just the way. I mean, and bearing in mind that's not just a pose there. That's come through a sequence of me with that cape. So that's how that cape is working, and I think it gives me great pride in just seeing that again. The shape, it's incredibly strong, around the shoulders and the chest, and it's very upright. It's very lifted, very menacing, and to me, yeah, I'm incredibly proud of that sequence because it just says so much to me. Even if it was someone else that had done that, I'd be admiring that, thinking, "Wow, that to me is what it's all about. That's how Batman should look."
Yeah, I remember when I was working on my fan comic Batman Enigma, and I was drawing Batman. I was like, well, let me just take a look at the '89 movie because I like how the cape moves. I like how he
Yes.
moves there. So I had to thank you for that because a lot of the movements that you made in the movie, I did, adopt in the fan comic.
Well, that's lovely to hear, Ian. Thank you. I mean, it's as I say, I never realised, how much it was used, and then thankfully for the fans that have said, "Oh, did you know it was in Prince's CD booklet?" and did you know it was, in this? And then I see it, and it's like, wow, And then when you get these brilliant artists doing that as well, you're just bowled over by that love and appreciation. And as I say, I'm incredibly proud because that says so much about how I am as a person, about holding that stance, that shape, and making it very, very fluid. And so many people can put on the costume, but you create that. That's the difference. Is how that projects out. Really, and that's what I've always strived for. Is that perfection in my work and that aesthetic, and to give it 100% always. With whatever I do.
Yeah, I'm the same way too, especially when it comes to my own work. I'm like,
Yes.
it's not there. It's not there. It needs to be
Yes.
this.
Yes. And you just can't believe it sometimes yourself, because when you're doing these things, it feels good, and then they wouldn't stop it if it wasn't right. But then when you see things back like that, and you just think, wow, that's one of my favorite images of all time, of anyone. That is just, for me, what Carl Newman is about. That's what I've trained for and believed in, for so many years throughout my childhood. Is having that conviction.
Yeah, that's good conviction to have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so going back to your website for a second, obviously we have this one here with Bob Ringwood, the costume designer.
Yes, and the guy, do excuse me, I think it's Ian is his first name, and I can't remember his surname. I'm normally so good on everybody's names, but the guy that is actually the stand-in for Jack, if you like, he was the head of publicity of Pinewood. Lovely, lovely guy, and he seize the moment, if you like, to don the outfit and be Jack for that shoot. But again, Bob is such a lovely guy, another great person to be around, and I loved having the opportunity to do this shoot with him as well as Anton. And people can't believe how my leg has got so I've managed to bend myself into that very, very awkward position. I mean, I was thinking to David Gamble, who was the photographer. I mean, David, you could have got me a slightly nicer angle and space to work with, but I had to sort of bend my legs in all manner of ways to get
Oh,
into that position. But it worked anyway. That's the amazing thing. I mean, look at that set as well, for creating an image for Life magazine. It works beautifully well.
yeah, and you look very intimidating, so it works.
Yeah, it's got that shape again, hasn't it? And yeah, it's. I mean, any opportunities, I say, to have had the photographic experience and body of work as well. It was wonderful, and yeah, I was just. In fact, I was talking to somebody only recently about the shot with Tim Burton on the Batmobile that Terry O'Neill had done, and I was thinking, oh, I wish I could have worked with Terry, because he was another one of my sort of heroes, if you like, in the photographic world. He'd created some amazing work along the way. And I don't know how I missed him, but it was one of those things. I got Herb and Murray and David, etc. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, it happens. Miss opportunities that happen.
They
But
do, yes.
yeah, but you did have an opportunity to actually wear the cape and cowl again.
Yes, I did, and what an amazing thing to happen. So, as we can see in those images there at the lower part of that this was all done through Sean Reeves, was the costumer, fantastic guy that does these costumes. And then I teamed up with a brilliant photographer, Shane Hicks, and we did some in 2022, and then some, I believe. I'm losing track of the time. I think it was earlier this year, but incredible, really, what was created there. And I think it just shows my eagerness to get back and do stuff, really. And I missed out on returns. I think that was a real heartbreaking moment for me not to have got that, because I know Tim wanted me and we'd spoken about stuff. And I don't know what happened ultimately, but I would love to do another one. Without, I'm still feeling great shape and everything, and I think I can still wear it well. It's just, we'll see what happens. But any opportunity to get that suit on and go and make appearances or do more photographic work, and we'll see what happens along the way.
Well, my fingers are crossed for you because even after so many years, you look pretty damn good in the suit still.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just feel so at home, in that suit that, you know, it, I know how it feels and how to hold myself. And yeah, it's being given the opportunity where you've sometimes got space as well. And some of those images were actually taken in my local church, and then others were done in Shane's backyard, if you like. But I think we can achieve so much, but I'd love to get even more space again, where I could work the cape more and things like that. But it just feels great. It feels great to get that costume on again.
Yeah, because that has to be that's a that for you that's an unforgettable feeling. compared to when you first put it on for the first time to now, you're like, it's like no time has passed. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's how it feels. I think there's a muscle memory, isn't there, with things that, like riding a bike.
Yeah.
It's a sort of cliche, but I just feel that for me, because I made the documentary, I was part of that documentary, The Making of a Hero, and I showed how the suit went on. I got sort of kitted up with that, and yeah, I mean, you do need someone to help you in many ways, but if you know how it feels and your body just kind of goes back to that automatic way, if you like, this muscle memory of, oh, this feels great again now, and you start working with it, then it's very much you rather than the other way around. Oh, I don't feel quite there with this. You know what I mean? It just felt natural.
Natural's a good thing, especially when you're in a suit that you're comfortable in, that you've been comfortable in. So yeah, you're right. It is a muscle reflex.
Yeah. And I think I'm still which we should never lose, is being a big kid at heart. I just love any opportunity to get a great costume on. I was somewhere recently, and I could even put a post on about being the mayor of Gotham or something, but I put on these mayoral robes, and I think it's all part of that acting thing as well. You just love being a character,
Yeah,
being someone. It's that escapism, isn't it? That's so wonderful, and I just love wearing a great costume.
yep. And this was a great one.
You can't get much better, can you, than that one for
No,
sure?
you can't. You can't. You can't. Okay, so now you're doing convention appearances. Am I right?
Yes, yes. So I've got my very first one in October, on the 20th, in St. Louis in Missouri. Yes, I'm just enamored, knowing that it's finally happening. I've been trying for this for some time, and
Mm.
it's not easy, as we know, but I'm breaking through now, and there's interest from other cities as well, and we're just waiting to hear back on those. But yeah, I'm all raring to go, and just I've got so much love and appreciation for the fans. I think that's the thing, that you know they've showed so much to me, and it's just really been something I've never experienced to that level before. That it's just so touching, so beautiful, and I'd love to just get out and meet them, and show my appreciation, and have some opportunities with them and talk. And so it's finally happening. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for it. And Bobby Akers, who's been a great catalyst in this, I sort of thank him so much for making it happen. And just can't wait.
Well, I'm very excited for you, and I hope you get to New York sometime because that way you and I can meet in person.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to do that, Ian. I mean, I would love to see New York anyway. It's a city that I'm desperate to get to, and it's crazy that I haven't been before now. But I would honestly love to be there, and yeah, to meet you as well. And I've enjoyed so much, talking to you, and lots of the other great people that are making these wonderful podcasts and things. I mean, I've got so much to thank you all for as well. So yeah, I would love to put that on the list for sure.
Absolutely. One last question before we go. When you saw the movie for the first time, what was your initial reaction?
It was wow. I mean, there's no question of that. There was wow. And I was with someone at the time, sadly no longer here, and she was very much from the creative world. But yeah, we just both loved it together. I think we were both
shocked to see my deleted gargoyle scene not there. But it was one of those things, and we had to say to ourselves, well, look, you've got a lot of other great stuff in there, so that's not a problem. But we both loved it. I mean, we both thought, wow, they've done the most incredible job, and everything worked incredibly well.
Yeah, and this is the shot that he's talking about, guys. It's an impressive looking shot. I mean, you got the whole mood there. You're menacing. You're in shadow most of the time. I'm like, why didn't they show this? Why wasn't this there?
And that doesn't really. I mean, that looks as though I've just got my legs dangling over the other side, but in actual fact, that was a flat surface that I'm sitting on there.
Yeah.
And I had to work really hard to make that look right, because the suit wanted to pull me down and make me look very crumpled, and but I was holding that shape, and I was also making these minimal movements which were very, very interesting. But we'll never know why that was taken out. I mean, some people say, oh, it would have been the reveal too early and everything, but I think what we got was just totally wrong with the crude CGI. I think this would have been far more effective and given the continuity. But we live in hope that somewhere or sometime it will be released. But that's proof that I did do it, and I was very, very proud of that shot, because again, it took a lot of effort to do it. It's just not something that you do in 2 minutes. I must have been in that position for a good hour, 2 hours, I think.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's but we've got a still of it, so we've got proof that it existed. So but apart from that, Ian, I mean, I think, as I say, I absolutely love the film, but I think what made it even more incredible was when I saw it not so long back. I saw it as part of a double feature on the big screen, and then also at the Batman Live event with the live orchestra, and it just seems even more magnificent again, because you're getting all these other atmospherics that play into it as well, and you maybe see things that you hadn't always realized before. I know that sounds strange, but that can happen.
No, I agree, because I look at my previous work that I haven't looked at in years. So I was like, I was onto something here, or wasn't sure about this. It's stuff like that.
Yes, that's right. But it's still holding up so incredibly well after all these years, and I think it remains the favorite, doesn't it, with the majority of people out there.
Yeah, especially with people that obviously grew up with the movie. They're like, "This is my Batman. This is it." And then we have newer fans coming into the franchise. They always go to that because, again, that's where it all started.
Yeah, and we realize things are changing, don't we? That there'll be other iterations like there is with Superman at the moment, but I think we'll always, certainly for me, I'll always love Christopher Reeve as well. I mean, he just, those kind of originals, and certainly Michael brought something so unique to the Burton verse, and so they'll be the ones. Yeah, we still enjoy the other iterations, but I think we know it's like with anything in life, isn't it? I've still got my favorites in the music world, and I still love watching a lot of the classic movies and things as well. They stay with you because it's what you've grown up with, and everything else.
Yep, that's true. Carl, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure, Ian. It really is, and thank you for inviting me to do this. And I send my love out to all the amazing fans out there as well, and hope they enjoy this, and keep watching this space, and I hope that I can report. That's the intention. That's my mission, is to be doing much more to meet everybody, and be immersed in these incredible people, and experience more of America as well. So here's to that wonderful opportunity as well. But thank you so much.
Of course, it was my pleasure. And folks, let's not forget, of course, go to bellybat.com, bellybat1989.com, my mistake, and you can find out all of his appearances, as well as check out all this other great stuff. I mean, come on. You're getting the full history here, guys.
I mean, this is what great things happen, from the Batman world, is that you meet the most amazing people, and Steve Spicer, a bunch of Steves that's put this website together for me, and that fan art that's on there, it's just mind blowing what everybody's done, and I'm so thankful to everybody for doing this, because for so long I think people didn't realize who I was, what I'd done, and that there was another guy that was really responsible for creating that movement language for Batman, that's kind of influenced a lot going forward. But all these people have been amazing, that have helped me, the photographers, the artists, the friends, the fans, everybody. I can't thank them enough.
Yeah. Well, folks, I think that's going to be it for us today. As always, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to check out some of my other projects, go to indieplanet.com and you can find my comic series Codename Hunter there. Or if you're just in the mood for, just to wear something, go to tpublic.com and you can find my storefront there at Lil Ian Merch. You'll find Codename Hunter and a lot of designs for my other character, Lil Ian. Well, that's it for us today. I'm A. Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have a great day, folks.